Is Thomas dangerous enough to where you try to avoid him, or maybe kick the ball higher and get people down quick?
That will all be better. You know, there's no doubt about it, to get our guys time to get down there and put the net around him, you know, and you got to get guys down there that are basically in sync with one another. And in order to do that, they got to get off the blocks at the line of scrimmage, and then they've got to have good relationship with one another. And like I said, then draw the net around him. He's an excellent athlete and another experienced player that's been playing for a while.
Could you talk about the challenge of playing their two running backs, Grigsby and Antolin, and the kind of players they are?
Well, you know, they've got, like I said, that balance going, and those running backs are big keys in the success their team has had this year. They're doing a nice job blocking for them, and they're good, talented players. So, you know, that again, the game is going to a big focal point in this game will be the running game by both teams, and that helps both quarterbacks out tremendously from that standpoint. So, winning that running game war on both sides of the ball is big.
Coach, I wanted to ask Gronkowski, who's got his number? Who's probably going to match up with him most?
Well, you know, frankly, it could be any of our defensive backs, depending on the formation that they're in, and it could be always with a linebacker involved, and then so the corners, safeties, and the linebackers will all. I just hope we don't have to use them all, because there's other guys that they have that are pretty good.
Anybody you don't want to have match up with him?
No, I think that you know, we'll play what we play, and then we also are very aware of what they do. So, you know, it's going to be a matter of matching those things together.
I know it may not be fair because they've got so many weapons down there, but is there anything that really stands out as you think their best weapon that might, you know, scare you a smidge?
Well, I think Thomas and the tight end and the running backs are huge, and they have other good guys too. But you know, they're leading in a lot of categories, or up in the leaders in those categories productivity wise. So, you know, it's you know, like I hope we are, the balance of their team is what's really hard. And, you know, the running game, the outside receiver, and the tight end. I mean, that's about all you need right there.
This is off the Arizona game, but Sunday night I was down here and getting ready to drive home late, and driving around the stadium saw a mass amount of tents. Did you see that? And what was your thought? I mean, the night before tickets go on sale for the students, there were, what, 100-plus tents out there?
Yeah, it was a long line, and I left here late Sunday night, and they were really forming all the way back to our offices. So it's actually pretty neat to see.
Arizona at times against the Ducks went away from its spread into more of a power I type look. I'm wondering the why of doing that, and was that something they saw in the
Paul, no, that's who they are. They will get into that. One play they'll be in a tight formation with tight ends and a couple backs, and then they'll run the ball, run play action out of it. That's where you see the tight end catch a lot of balls, as a play action out of that stuff. And then the next play they will be spread across the field. That's kind of the beauty of what they do from their standpoint. It's hard for defenses because you get a little bit of everything.
Is it a mistake to continually give him a free release off the line of scrimmage like Oregon seemed to do?
Well, you know, I don't, you know, everybody's got their own thoughts about how to handle it. You know, and formationally, it's not always that easy to cover him up. I mean, they do a pretty good job formationally with him, and they know what they're doing with him. You know, they have a good idea. So, you know, we certainly couldn't be critical of anybody else. We're just trying to find our best way to handle all their weapons.
Mike, I'm not sure Arizona's had the kind of crowds that they're getting this year, and they seem to have turned into a very good home field team. Do you see that on film, and how do you get you guys ready for that?
Well, I think that you know, it's been hard, you know, except in a couple instances, it's been hard to win on the road in the Pac-10 this year, and I'm glad that we won our last two games on the road. We played Washington and UCLA and won on the road. So I hope that that mystique is kind of past us, and we just go play football. I think that, you know, we've played in front of a lot of enthusiastic big crowds this year, so I hope that's also preparation for whatever they have going down there. And I think that, you know, that they are deserving of those crowds for the kind of football team they've got going on down there.
What do you see in the defense? They talked going into the year about wanting to play more man-to-man in their coverage. Are they a little more that way? They've got 14 interceptions. How would you describe their defensive style this year, maybe compared to how it's been?
You know, I think that in some ways they have they play more of one or two coverages, maybe 3 coverages, eliminated some parts from their past, and playing what they do very well. You know, they will still pressure you and get good heat on you, but for the most part, until they all of a sudden decide to bring the house, they are a zone team. And that, I think that zone concept has enabled them to intercept footballs. I think that you know, they are a classic quarters coverage team that will slip into a cover 3 zone blitz team, and that would be by far their 2 lead things that they do. And then the third thing that they do is bring the house and have 0 coverage in the backfield, and then you got to see if you can handle it or not.
One last thing for me, Mike, the physical play that your team has been exhibiting in all respects, whether up front on both lines, special teams blocking some major hits. I mean, how do you achieve that? Is it just something you preach? Is it internally in the guys? I mean, how do you get to that level?
Well, I think there is a passion and energy for the game that is built up as a team through the example of individuals, you know, and there is something uncoachable in that, and that's an inherent toughness to be able to play like that. But I also think that it's a little catchy, you know, when that's going on. And 2 of the best hits of the day the other day, besides the number of plays defensively and special teams, were 2 blocks on offense. One by Jaquiz Rogers on the double reverse to Sammy, and the other one by Sammy on the touchdown run by James. Those were major league hits, and it happened to be the same guy that got it. And they were, you know, no fault of that guy. That, you know, he was redirecting and trying to go to the ball, and he got a little bit blindsided. But you know, that's why I say it can be a little bit catchy as that physical aspect takes over, and you know, your whole team kind of buys into it. What I'm proud of is our receivers more and more buying into blocking, and that gives us a chance for some touchdown blocks. You know, some blocks downfield that are the final key blocks in getting into the end zone.
Mike, you've always talked about taking things one game at a time, not consuming the media, not really knowing when we bring up certain stories along the way. Is it more challenging for you to stick to your own philosophy as we get to where we are with just 2 weeks left?
No, you know, it's actually pretty simple, because there's only been one story, and you know, and really the whole time that we're going to be here, this is the way it's going to be, because you know, it's like I've said before about football. We only get 1 game a week. We put in countless hours during that week to get ready for that game. You will never hear us say that, well, we overlooked it, or we didn't prepare as hard, or that will never happen. I mean, this game is the results of this game have major ramifications. We all know that, but we're not preparing any harder for it than we have for any game, because we try to do our best every week. And if that is a philosophy that the whole team and the coaching staff buys into, then you never have to worry about, you know, leaving something behind.
Thanks for watching the Beaver Q&A show on FSN. Join us again next week from Corvallis, Oregon.